In this lesson, we will cover creating and editing piping system types and creating and editing piping systems. On the second floor of this building model, I have placed water source heat pumps. We can create piping systems to indicate which heat pumps are on which system. And in this case, all 5 of the water source heat pumps will be on the same piping system, but there will be multiple piping systems. For example, we'll need condenser water supply and return, and heating hot water supply and return. In the project browser, when you expand families, and then expand piping systems and piping system, you can see the piping system types that are created in the project. In this case, these are the default piping system types, and they are based on the system classifications. I'll select hydronic supply, right-click, and select Type Properties. In the Type Properties dialog, I can see the system type, and then I can see the system classification. System classifications are extremely important because the pipe connectors are assigned a system classification, and then as you can see here, the system types are assigned a system classification. So components with certain connectors with certain system classifications can be added to systems of the same system classification. So it's important to remember the system types and then the system classifications that they're assigned to. In this case, this is the hydronic supply system, and I will duplicate it. And let's call this one heating hot water supply, and I'll click OK. And when you have a system type, you can control graphic overrides for all the elements belonging to that system. You can even add a material. You can control the fluid type, fluid temperature, and then there are some other identity data parameters as well as two-line and single-line rise and drop symbology. For this system, we will adjust the graphic overrides and we'll change the line color to red and click OK. Then I'll click OK to close these dialogues. And then I'll right-click hydronic return and select Type Properties. And we'll duplicate this one again to create another type and name it heating hot water return. And click OK. And then we'll change the line color override to an orange. And then click OK to close these. Now, as far as creating piping systems, you can create those when you create pipe, or you can create them manually before. And so we'll take a quick look at those. On the Systems ribbon, in the Plumbing and Piping panel, I'll click Pipe. And before I create pipe, you can see that there's a system type parameter that can be adjusted. And I will select our heating hot water supply system. And I'll create a single pipe segment and click Modify. And when I do, I can select the pipe and then switch to the Piping Systems contextual ribbon. And I can see that I created a heating hot water supply system. And that pipe is red. So I could simply connect all the water source heat pumps to this pipe or with this pipe, or with piping, I guess I should say, and it would add all those water source heat pumps to the same system. Another way is I can select the water source heat pumps first and then add them to a system. And so what that does is it just allows you to keep track of the components in the system, and then you can use that as you're modeling piping. You can absolutely model the piping first, but it's a preference thing. I prefer to create the systems first. That way it kind of divides up and I know what I'm working with. When I select a water source heat pump, you can see several connector labels, and these indicate the connectors that are placed on the equipment. So with mechanical equipment, there are multiple connectors. There are duct connectors, there's a power connector, there are pipe connectors, and so that's why in the Create Systems panel, in the contextual ribbon, I can create multiple types of systems. In this case, I'll click Piping, and this opens the Create Piping System dialog. I'll expand the System Type drop-down, and I can select a system type based on the system classifications of the pipe connectors that are on the equipment. In this case, I'll select Heating Hot Water Supply, and I will name it HWS-1, and then I'll select Open in System Editor and then click OK. Next, the Select Connector dialog appears, and the reason is because there are actually two connectors that are on this equipment that are assigned to the hydronic supply system classification. I want to make sure to select the hot water one and then click OK. And then, since I selected Open in System Editor, Revit goes into Edit Piping System mode. With Add to System selected, I can begin selecting the other water source heat pumps and selecting the appropriate connector, and those components will be added to the system. I can also use a window, and once again the Select Connector dialog will appear for each component I had selected. If I need to remove from system, I can select Remove from System and select it. And then if I wanted to select the equipment supplying these water source heat pumps, I could do that now, or I can simply leave that blank for now. And I will click Finish Editing System. And when I do, the water source heat pumps turn red, and I can select it, switch to the Piping Systems contextual ribbon, and see that they're on the HWS-1 or Heating Hot Water Supply System. I'll deselect that, and then we'll create one more system. I'll select it and we'll click Piping, and this time we will select Heating Hot Water Return, and we'll name this one HWR-1. And I will not select Open in System Editor, I'll just click OK. We'll select the Hot Water Return and click OK. And so in this case, just the single water source heat pump is on the system, but with it selected, I can click Edit System and then go into Edit Piping System mode. And so either method will work, and we'll quickly add the other water source heat pumps. And then I'll click Finish Editing System. And afterwards, the water source heat pumps, they return to the black color, and that is because they're now added to two systems, and so that's why the graphic overrides for the individual systems will go away.